Here comes a new challenger!
Hello everyone, and welcome to Not Everyone Is Here. After all, my capture card is, it's being whacked, so I'm just going to be doing this, though this should be the last video like this for a little bit, because then I'm going to be doing gameplay. Besides, I was meaning to cover Ryu Hayabusa for a bit now, seeing as this is a character I've been talking about for quite a long time. I've already made 2 separate videos, not counting videos in which I go over my predictions for the Fighter's Pass. Now, I'm certain that some of you already know this, but Ryu Hayabusa is my most wanted character in terms of DLC right now, and I think, in my personal opinion, I think he's the most likely character to show up. There are various reasons why I feel this way, but I've already made so many videos that at this point you should just watch those instead of just, listen to me ramble over, because, I already put in the editing for those videos, I already did the research for those videos, I already answer as many questions as I can in those videos, so, it's just one of those things. So, really, I'm just here to talk about the character, Ryu Hayabusa, Ninja Gaiden, old series, right? Very old. I mean, it's NES era styled game, and it was sort of similar to Castlevania, how a lot of its most popular games were of that early NES-ish era, right? And I think Ninja Gaiden's peak was essentially the Gaiden games, right? The 3D hack and slash games, which are getting ported for later this year. And that's essentially where the franchise sort of peaked, because thereafter, while there have been good games overall, the quality has been slowly diminishing, especially with Ninja Gaiden Z, was it? I believe it was the most recent, new entry in the series. Is pretty, but hey, it is what it is. So, Ninja Gaiden sort of fell into the same thing Castlevania did, where a lot of its older games, where it was its prime, but as time went on, because, I guess there was just not enough passion behind the series anymore, or people are leaving the company, that the franchise just sort of slowly but surely was dying off. Now, that's not to say that Ninja Gaiden isn't Koei Tecmo's most important IP. I mean, it's already been stated that it is their most important IP, Ryu Hayabusa being their most important character, right? They essentially consider Ryu as their mascot, because Ryu, for the most part, shows up in almost every game that he can. He's similar to Terry, where SNK puts Terry in everything, right? I mean, usually they put Terry in most crossovers, though sometimes you get characters like Iori, some Samsho characters, but most of the time it's Terry, and Terry obviously is, shown up in Smash, but also showed up in a game called Fighting EX Layer, which I believe is getting a Switch port very soon. Let's see, and in SNK's case, they had a space shooter game, I forgot what it was called, but in that game, it was, something like, I think like Gradius, or no, just think of like Namco old space shooters. Think of that, but the ship is Terry and the bullets are power waves. that's a real thing. I'm not lying. I just forgot exactly what the game was called, but I mean, either way, so Terry was put into everything. Similar, Ryu Hayabusa is just put into everything, right? I mean, Ryu Hayabusa is a mainstay of the Dead or Alive series. He's not a character that guest appears in that series, because that is a Koei Tecmo owned series, and they work on that series, and Ryu Hayabusa, he shows up there, and I believe those games, story wise, some of them do connect with, I think, the 3D Ninja Gaiden games, so there you go, from what I remember, but I'm not too sure. He's appeared in, I believe, the Orochi Warrior series. I could be wrong on that. He appears in one Warrior series, a ton. And when it comes to collaborations, usually you'll see, from Koei Tecmo's side, you will see a Ryu Hayabusa somewhere there. I mean, for Halo, they had the Hayabusa armor, which is obviously a reference to, well, Ryu Hayabusa, or that Hayabusa, armor that he wears, the black one. right? The one you'll see in most renders, right? Speaking of which, I do hope that if Ryu does make it in, right? Because despite me wanting this character, and even if I think he's the most likely, that doesn't mean he will happen. I'm just saying he's most likely to me. I hope he does get his classic outfit too. I think that'd be awesome. But, you know, just because of the way Ninja Gaiden is, I feel a lot of people are kind of, they don't want Ryu, primarily because we are down to our last two characters. People feel the character would not be hype, you know, because people want to see hype characters for the end, and a lot of people don't view Ninja Gaiden as that. I hear this being passed around where it's like, oh, if Ryu was shown off earlier in the past, or if Ryu was like in past one, then maybe he would have been more hype. But you know, right now, like past two last two characters, right? Because I saw Sakurai saying these are our last two characters, right? So last two characters, and that's it. Like, and Ryu's gonna be the one of them? No way, because Ninja Gaiden's old. Ninja Gaiden's not that popular anymore. Who hears about Ninja Gaiden? All right, but I feel like it's one of those things I discussed in the Crash video Chief video, sorry, where, you know, I feel like people just sometimes just don't value an IP as much because they themselves didn't grow up with it, right? Like, for instance, you know, I brought up the idea of like, if Mega Man and Ryu were both DLC and one came out first before the other, do you think the other would happen, right? So if like Mega Man happened, and then would that mean Ryu can't happen? Why not? Oh, because it's Capcom. Oh, but why not? You know, it's sort of the same logic where it's like, oh, my franchise can get in even if it's an older franchise. Oh, why is that? Well, that's because I like it and I don't like your franchise, therefore I'm gonna go against your franchise. So you know, it's something dumb like that, basically. And you know, Ryu Hayabusa, obviously highly speculated character, and a lot of people just don't want to see him because he is the hot topic. People want to see the unexpected, but in my opinion, I think it's fine to have the expected, right? If a character shows up that was talked about a bunch and he actually does happen, that's fine. I don't see the problem with having a character that's talked about, you know, because at the end of the day, Smash features guest characters in a sense of like every variety, right? Because even first parties are essentially guest characters, right? They're treated, you know, they're respected essentially in Smash because, you know, they were chosen, and people view Smash as like once you're in Smash as a playable character, that's the biggest honor you could get for your franchise, even if it's for a first party, because not all first parties just make it in. You know, you think that first parties are guaranteed, right? But there are still first party franchises that I'd argue should have a playable fighter, and they just don't. To say Ninja Gaiden really has no value is very disrespectful to the franchise, because, you know, it has a long running history that, you know, I've already covered in several videos, so I'm not going to go over it here. But I think people need to really, like I said, you know, open your mind a little bit to the possibilities, because I know, like I said, Ryu Hayabusa is talked about a bunch, and I get that. But just because a character's talked about a bunch, that doesn't mean that they should happen, right? I mean, like, let's say, for instance, Crash, Ryu, or Chief, right? Those are the three characters that are being talked about nowadays. If any of those three happen, right, you could argue it was expected, because it's all the people would ever talk about, right? You know, because, oh, we were thinking X or Y character will happen, so of course that would mean that, oh, we saw this coming a mile away. That's not how this works. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like let's say Bubsy was a highly debated character, right? And people said, you know what, Bubsy's gonna make it into Smash. Bada boom. Alright? What can possibly go wrong? And then Bubsy just comes into Smash, everyone's like, oh, we saw that coming. Are people gonna really be like that? No, because, well, if Bubsy makes it in, people are gonna be like, wow, Bubsy, you know, but hey, you know, people would go crazy if Bubsy somehow made it in as a character. I'm not joking, but the same sort of applies, because, you know, it's not just a franchise representing, but it's also sort of like the fan base, the fans of that series, you know. Obviously, with every third party comes, you know, fans, and some people may say, well, I mean, when it comes to Ryu, you have like mainly Nintendo people, but you know, there's still people who play like Warriors games or people who play Dead or Alive, which aren't really featured all too much on Switch, and or games that, you know, games that he appears in that they just aren't on Switch all that much. So, and you know, it might bring in people of those franchises to go, hey, I recognize that funny ninja man, let me go and play him in this Super Smash Bros. So to say he's not profitable either is also dead wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I'd argue, in my personal opinion, that the only character that's sort of, you know, unprofitable, if you want to make that argument, right, is like the first parties, because first parties, you likely already have a Switch if you were interested in those first parties, right? So obviously you wouldn't go out of your way to buy a Switch just to play as like Byleth, Min Min, or Pyramithra, because you already have the system. There's no reason for you to want to buy, you know, a Switch for those characters because you played their game. Because if you played the game, you already have a Switch. So yeah. But those are my thoughts really on Ryu. So yeah, with Ryu Hayabusa, I definitely think he's happening. That's my personal opinion. I know it's like, it's kind of deadly to say he's my most wanted and most likely to happen, but I mean, what can I say? You know, I have faith, you know, and if it turns out Ryu doesn't make it in, oh well, I mean, I don't mind, you know. That's just one of those things where it's like, oh well, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It wasn't meant to be, and I just move on with my day. But you know, yeah, you can't look at things negative all the time, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. Please take care of yourselves. Let's get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year, and I will see you guys later. Peace.